My name is Abigail Gorski, and this is my pet peeve / hero speech. Here is my outline. My speech is going to be on my biggest pet peeve, and I have way too many pet peeves to name one as my biggest pet peeve. So we're just going to do one that affects my favorite hobby and I've found very annoying since I was little. So my biggest pet peeve is poaching. Poaching is when people illegally harvest animals. And most of the time when people think of poaching, they think of the big game over in Africa. They think elephants, rhinos, tigers, things like that, or endangered animals like bald eagles and specific sharks, things like that. Big name animals. But this also happens on a very small scale when people take 30 or 40 sunfish out of a lake that you're only supposed to take 5, or people shoot 2 deer instead of 1 in the area you're supposed to, or people shoot 6 ducks and then they go home and freeze them and shoot another 6 in the same day. It really throws off our ecosystem. And so how that does is your ecosystem has like a chain. So you go from the smallest level of like plants, and then the bugs that eat the plants, and the small animals that eat those bugs, and so forth. So people even poach predators, like wolves. That's a big thing here in Minnesota. People killed out the wolves, and so we had to stop hunting them and stop maintaining their populations because people were just killing them. So now they're protected, and in some areas now they're getting overrun and killing people's animals and crops, and wildlife populations are really out of skew right now because poachers killed off more than they could. So it affects pretty much everything. It affects farmers, the ecosystem, it affects people who hunt fish, people who don't hunt and fish. If you're trying to buy beef at the grocery store and there's 50 wolves that are attacking farms in that area and you're buying local, prices could go up because it's harder to get these things. But how we combat this is we have regulations for hunting. So as an example, right now in Minnesota they are putting in place laws where certain lakes you can only keep 5 sunfish per person per day. The state limit is anywhere from 20 to 30 sunfish, depending on the species, per day, which is a lot. Some people may say it's not, but there's a lot. There's also a movement going to put limits on eel pout, which have been drastically fished out throughout the years. Another thing is how many deer tags you get in your area per year. Do you get a bonus tag? Can you shoot a doe? Can you shoot a buck? Can you shoot a buck and a doe? Can you shoot 2 does? It's all about managing the levels of wildlife within the area. So we have those regulations and those rules, but we also have wildlife sanctuaries, so places that take in these hurt animals and raise them and have an area for these animals to live in, but they also have places where you can't hunt, like waterfowl sanctuaries and places you can't hunt waterfowl, deer, big game, whatever. And that's a very big thing. Another way that we can combat this is, make sure we ourselves do not end up poaching. We make sure what we are taking, make sure that if we kill it, we find it, and so that the populations aren't skewed. And we report what we're catching and what we're killing. Because if the DNR and those other organizations can't count the numbers of animals that are getting taken, then we can't have that balance. But in general, poaching throws off everyone's lifestyle, even if you're a hunter or not. Because if the ecosystem collapses, we can't live in it. And that's my biggest pet peeve. Not only because I love hunting and fishing, but because we live on this earth and we should treat it as such. Thank you for listening.